We've seen this interesting trend, now not a trend, almost like a rite of passage. Every time someone has a new baby, and babies don't even have to be human nowadays. Remember Kinuthia had his new baby car, and he created an account for the car.
Let's not go there.
We remember before even children are born, they have Instagram accounts, which is an interesting, it started off as a trend, and now it's become like a rite of passage. Like just before you give birth, you announce your baby's social media.
Through their account.
And you talk to yourself on the account.
Hi guys, I'm going to be born next week.
Yeah. That's your baby. Guys, it's a lot. Y'all are doing too much. But I think it's important for us to remind you, just before you set up your child's account, that there are so many risks involved in having their own social media account. And I know we assume that, yeah, it's just for girls, but even little boys, gosh, every child is vulnerable. And I think we were having this conversation earlier on in the week about predation and how many predators there are in schools, outside, in the streets, even in the family. We all know that weird uncle who likes to touch children. As in, there are so many predators all around in the world, and we're not talking about white people, we're talking about our own local communities. We all know there's that weird person who's always doing weird things. Like there's always kids around him and you're like, you're an adult. Why do you have children around you all the time?
There's always that one
There's
teacher.
always just that one teacher.
And you're wondering, how do they let you hang around teachers?
Yes.
Given how mad you're moving. You're moving mad. You're being very weird.
There are predators all around. And if predation is not the one thing that will stop you from letting your child be on social media. We've seen TikTok, a baby in a bathtub. The comment section is flooded with just weirdos saying cute baby, turn them around, let's see a little bit more,
Or
the
people who have
camera
saved
lower.
Or saved and favorited
A
that
child's
video.
picture. Why are you favoriting a child's picture? To do what
Why are you
with it?
saving it?
Eh?
Why would you save a random
child's
child's
picture. In a bathtub? You know, people are weird. If predators, if pedophiles are not going to scare you enough to stop your children from being on the internet, here are others. We've just spoken about the Bahatis and their children being put side to side with other celebrities' pictures. Cyberbullying is a huge thing, and this is your child. They have no defense. They know nothing of this world except what you've taught them. And then you're putting them in a situation right now they have to defend themselves from strangers. Defend themselves from someone saying your baby's fat. What are babies supposed to look like? As in, a baby is just a little chubby and we're all calling them fat. You know, your baby looks like an alien. Like, people are so mean on the internet. So why would you put your child in such a situation where now they're defending themselves against cyberbullies?
Oh, they're just feeling bad.
Yeah.
And if it's not even cyberbullying, it's just the type of content that is on social media. We've had this whole pandemic and this whole issue where they're even threatening to ban TikTok in Kenya because apparently after 10 p.m. on TikTok, it's a whole other side.
Yeah.
It's like you step into a different dimension, you know. We have sex workers who are promoting their businesses on TikTok, on public forums. We have other people who are saying, you know, send me 200 bob to, you know, help you get there, to get you to heaven. We have people twerking. We have people undressing. We have just a lot of things going on. And it doesn't even stop at TikTok. There are games. You know how you download games for children, especially if your child is like mine and they download by themselves. You now have to now take away their device. Take off my this and this and this. There's so much adult content and there's just no sure-proof way to filter it such that your child is getting only, you know, specific content. So now you have to be always on the case. But for you to avoid all of that, don't let your child be on social media.
Absolutely.
It's as simple as that.
It is very problematic. Another thing is children they can be very timid, you know, in terms of communicating when something is going wrong. Children they have no defense. So something horrible has happened, God forbid, they ended up taking off that shirt from this funny game that they were playing, right? And then someone took an image, a screen grab of them, or whatever, and then they showed it back to them. Now your child is freaking out and they don't know how to come and tell you, Mommy, I took off my shirt, I took off my pants on my screen, and someone took my picture, and now they're threatening me to they'll expose me if I don't do this bad thing, if I don't go and meet them at the corner store or whatever. Like, children are so, they're just like, you know, they're so innocent. They have very little to defend themselves. So you're supposed to be their self-defense and their personal defense and fight for them. But they find it very difficult to come and expose themselves when they've done something wrong. Ever seen a child break a glass? The way they'll hide it, the way they'll be guilty the whole day. Now imagine they did something worse on the internet. Do you think they'll be able to garner the courage to come and tell you? Probably not. And therefore they end up being in this really bad situation simply because they can't fully communicate what the issue is there. Hence, just stop them from being in these situations to begin with. Do you know what I mean?
And sometimes, even as we create these social media accounts for our children and tell them, I'm going to be monitoring everything, we have a way you can link your child's Instagram to your main account and everything, and monitor everything. You think that is safe, but you've not given them, you know, the tools on how to, you know, work social media. You've not set ground rules. You've not said things like, don't post your address. You know, if you post a picture in the house, make sure, you know, something that could lead somebody here is not being seen. Don't post outside the gate. Everyone now knows where you live. Don't say where your school is. Don't post in your school uniform. Don't, you know, all these small things that are supposed to keep them safe, you don't tell them. And a child does something so innocently, and all of a sudden somebody is showing up at their school. Why? Your child took a selfie in their school uniform. The logo is right here.
They know their name already.
Exactly. You already know your name. You know, say, create a fake name. Say your puppy 13, you know, just don't be very quick to divulge all your information.
Yeah, and there are many other safety measures you can take, including just helping them understand the reason why you limit their screen time. Sometimes it feels like punishment. Like you give your child screen time and you're like, no, you'll only watch TV from this time to this time, and that is the only time you'll have your screens, and after that you turn them off. But instead of making it like an authoritarian thing, just explain to them, hey, this is why I tell you not to do this and this and this and this. It's because this and this and this and this can happen.
Yep.
These times, for example, the TikTok thing we just spoke about, you can only watch it until this time, because after this time, it starts to become very unsafe for you. And I don't want to expose you to things that you're not ready for, and so on. Like, give it a reason. Don't make it this, don't
I said what I said.
demonize it. Yes, don't demonize it or make it such an authoritarian thing that they feel like they need to go behind your back and then get
sneak to do
exposed.
stuff.
Yeah,
True,
just
true.
explain it to them, give it a figure. Yeah, and they will probably understand once they grow up a little bit more that, yeah, there's a reason why this is happening. But if you're just like, you know, they'll find a way around it. They have friends.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we talked about parental control, where you can link their apps to your app and control everything. But there's also setting a time limit.
Yep.
Time limit on screen time. And let me tell you why. Have you ever taken a screen away from a child and they act like a demon? That's just because they're already addicted to this thing. They cannot function without it. So if you have noticed that anytime you say, listen, it's time to put down that phone, put down your iPad, it's time for food, and they start like acting and it's a whole tantrum affair, that's just a clear sign that you need to limit the time on that device. You know, if they feel like they're going to start fighting you just to spend more time watching cartoons, that's a problem. So be very conscious about the time that is spent on these devices.
Yeah, and there's another thing I've just seen where it's called the grandma rule, which Googling it says, when you're done with this, then you can get this. It's like a reward system, for instance. So try and help them become better with social media and the use of social media by giving them a task versus reward type situation. If you clean up your room, you will have an extra hour of watching TV. if you go to the shop and buy the bread for breakfast, as I told you, then I will give you and I'll buy you that game that you've wanted. If you go to your grandparents for 1 week's holiday, you will come back and I will let you watch as much cartoon as you want to in 3 days before you go to school. Like, grandma rules here and there help with children also understanding that, oh, responsibility equals to reward, and therefore if I am responsible, then I will get a reward, and reward can be screen time.
And it's one thing, children, all this and these ground rules, but we know that children learn through seeing. They
Absolutely.
emulate actions. So if you're always telling your child, put down your device, but you're always on your device, you know, we're supposed to be seated having dinner, but you're having dinner while scrolling through TikTok. Obviously, your child feels like that is okay. That's an okay thing to do. So if you're going to set the rules, please be ready to also play balls. Limit the time on devices, especially if you're doing your shared spaces. You know, it's very funny that all of you are in one room, but everyone is on a different device. You know, dad is watching TV, child is on this screen, mom is on this screen, my brother is on this screen. We're just enjoying each other's breathing at this point. It really does not make sense.
It really doesn't. And another thing, even don't click on links you don't know where they're coming from.
Exactly.
Don't be over there downloading things that you don't understand what they are. You're in the middle of a game or you're watching movies from these pirated spaces. You all know what we're talking about. Jukina F movies, Jukina cinema, Kina
Sandra
1,
is
2,
2
3
kilometers
movies. Unaona, Sandra
Click here
is there we go. Sandra is 5 kilometers away. You know, or you see others,
You have
want
won
to
$100.
someone in Kenya is giving job opportunities for $1,000. Click here and give your information for you to get access to this job. Just teach yourself and your children not to be opening random links on random websites and downloading things that you do not know what they are. There's a lot of spyware in these links. You end up giving access to not just your computer, but your camera, and now someone is constantly surveilling you. I know we joke about it and we say, hi, FBI, whenever you're watching your movies on your laptop or your phone. You're like, hi, my FBI guy. But honestly, yeah, there are people who can use your screens and watch what you're doing and watch what your children are doing. And as we said, it's a very tricky world of predators, pedophiles, and just people with bad intentions. True. Teach your children not to be clicking on everything and downloading things without knowing what they are. And if they are unaware of what it is, let them come to you and you can help them navigate.